my advice to young women is the same as it is to young men. Get in there, do every job, even the ones that aren't yours, even the grimy ones. Don't leave before your boss. Come in on the weekends, volunteer too. Whatever's thrown at you by your boss, by your colleagues, by your spouse, by your friend, by your office mate, the response is thank you.
I have a subscription platform. It's on Patreon, and they're our top supporters. They've been here since the beginning. And so one thing that I do is I give them the opportunity to ask each guest a question. And it was overwhelmingly questions about you standing up for women. And so I kind of combined all those questions and I just wanted to ask you, especially being a father of a 8-month-old daughter, what is the best piece of advice for young women dedicated to rising to the top in today's generation?
Don't think of yourself as a woman. Just think of yourself as a worker. And do it, a lot of it, all the time, without complaint. You know, that you're not above anything. I almost called my book Out Hustled as opposed to Settle for More because I really think that's the word that explains my success. There's nothing particularly special about me. I'm not particularly brilliant or particularly talented in one way or another. I've just worked really hard, studied hard, and when I landed in this field, worked really hard to develop the skills that it would take to do well here. And anyone can do that. It does require each field requires some natural aptitude. You know, I don't think this work ethic on stage in the ballet would have produced the same rewards for me. But once you narrow it down to, I think I have the natural talents that could make me succeed in this business, it's all about hard work. And so my advice to young women is the same as it is to young men. Get in there, do every job, even the ones that aren't yours, even the grimy ones that make you feel less than. Don't leave before your boss. Come in on the weekends, volunteer too. Take every assignment, even if you think it's beneath you, with a thank you. When you get positive or negative feedback, say thank you. When somebody gives you any sort of critique, explore it. Why? What did I do? How could I do better? If somebody edits your writing, ask them to have the marked up brief. Let me see it. Well, how did I go wrong? How could I do better? All of it is a learning opportunity. So I think all of that's important to becoming, you know, a valued employee or star or whatever in your particular industry. But I will also say, whatever's thrown at you by your boss, by your colleagues, by your spouse, by your friend, by your office mate, the response is thank you. Thank you. Great.
Wow, that's a great piece of advice. Thank you.
Even if it's shitty, because now you've got this to deal with. You're figuring out, this is how I deal with a crappy person, an unethical person. This is a lesson to me in how I misjudge somebody as good who turns out to be not so good. Where did I go wrong? All of it is opportunity if only you will take an ever so brief time. You don't have to spend days and years to reflect on it.
Have you always lived by that philosophy, or is that learned?
I would say I put that to more use once I hit the professional field as a young lawyer. And then certainly when my first marriage was collapsing, that was a great opportunity to really pause, you know, and figure some things out about myself. And thankfully that happened in my young 30s. So that set me up for a nice long run, you know, since then.
Good. I also have this is a personal question. And, you know, ever since I started doing this, and I kind of talked about why I started doing it on when you interviewed me, but ever since I got into uncovering corruption or the truth space or whatever you want to call it, it's almost like a beacon went out for all the weirdos to try to get on my podcast, and it gets really hard to determine who is completely full of shit and who's actually not manipulating facts to make it sound like truth. It's tricky. I think it's tricky. Do you find it tricky?
yes and no. I mean, I have a whole team of producers who I really trust. Some of them have been with me for more than a dozen years and gotten me through Fox and NBC and now this show. So I have complete trust in them. So they,
They sift through it all.
I have more than my own radar to figure out who's telling the truth. But I still make mistakes because I think like you, notwithstanding my cynical newswoman background, and you've got to be somewhat cynical given your background too, I still trust people. I still kind of love people. My instinct is still to believe as opposed to doubt.
Yeah.
Unless you're a politician, in which case it's the opposite. I believe almost nothing.
Yeah.
But when I was at NBC, I had that couple come on my show. I don't know if you remember this story, but the woman ran out of gas and a homeless guy gave her his last $20. She filled up her gas tank, and it was just such a nice gift by the homeless guy. Anyway, turned into this whole thing. She and her husband wound up starting a GoFundMe for this guy. All these people donated. It was a feel-good story. Whole thing wound up being a fraud. They were all in on it. Before we knew that, I had the husband and wife on my show because they were under some scrutiny for maybe stealing some of the GoFundMe. I gave them way too much benefit of the doubt. They were total fraudsters.
Man.
It was so bad. But I wouldn't take it back if I could because I like that part of me. I don't want to lose that part of me.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I worry about is things like the COVID vaccine, or I don't ever want to affect somebody's decision-making process off bullshit that was put out on my show. And I feel a huge responsibility to that. And so I was just curious how you sift through it.
I mean, that stuff was very tricky. The COVID stuff was very tricky. We were turned on by so many authorities that we were supposed to trust.
Yeah.
It's almost like too big to get your arms around what happened there. And I actually think it's one of the reasons why people can't go back there. Like if you do stories on COVID, they don't get numbers. And it's not because, in particular, the right half of the country doesn't have very strong feelings about it. It's just, pardon the term, triggering.
Yeah.
It's triggering. It's like people are pissed. Nothing changed. We screwed over our kids and ourselves. A lot of us took the vaccine and feel unhealthier as a result of it. People are worried about their children if they gave it to them. So it's one of those avoidance things now. But yeah, I did not get all of COVID right. I think I did okay. I'd give myself a B+ on my understanding of what was going on there. But it's very hard when you have so many previously trusted entities lying to you.
Yeah. I wasn't for it, but I brought somebody on and I felt like the facts they were against it too, and I felt like the facts that they were pulling were they were pulling all these facts from all these other things and trying to create a narrative out of it, and I never aired it.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't. If I don't believe them, then I won't air it.
Smart.
So, no matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.